Welcome, Balance Over Perfect. We are
Oh,
jumping right in. As you know, my name is Kim, but we have another Kim on the line, so do not get us confused. One's from Pennsylvania in the States, and one's from Canada. Say hi, Kim.
hi.
I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you for coming on.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course, of course. So, guys, obviously, you know that having the name Kim just in itself makes you just a fantastic person. But this girl does come with a lot of fantastic things and honestly, things that just will make us feel at ease. And I think that's one of the things that I always want you guys to take away from this podcast. I want to challenge you. I want you to have that gut check. I don't want to be that enabler on the other end, but I want to be that person that says, hey, I get you. We're here for you. Now, how do we move forward? And Kim does that line of work and what she does. So I want to do a little bit of like, hey, here's our street cred. But Kim is from the beautiful country of Canada. I have to get up to where she lives because when I see her photos, I know it's going to be amazing.
Totally.
It's amazing. It really is. But a couple of things about Kim and just who she is as an individual. So I've been talking about this a lot. It's there's a lot of things of like what you do, but it's also who you are. And I believe with these interviews that I'm going to be doing more often on here, you're welcome. You don't have to listen to my crazy voice all the time. But it's like who they are as individuals. You know, what they do, awesome. That's great. That gives them purpose and passion and meaning to life. But who they are is what makes that purpose, passion, and meaning happen. So I, on a personal level, have known Kim for, 2 years now? I think it's been?
Yeah, about
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah,
Yep.
about 2 years. But Kim's in general, I think, just know each other for life because a big thing that Kim and I have in common is like almost everything. Like we had a call one time, and I was like, "Wait, what? You had this happen? What? That's crazy."
That day, I was like, "Oh, I'm in like a parallel universe right now. This is amazing."
It was very cool. And it was like, oh, I knew I had a sister out there. Like I did, I really did. But as you guys are all sisters in life. But so Kim as a person, she's just genuine. She's real. She's calm, which this crazy brain and energy needs that. But you could tell she has a lot of fun and genuinely wants people to do better in life and find that course that they are looking for, find that path through the hard times, through the bumpy roads, through the mountains at the end of the climb, to be able to sit up on top of that mountain and be like, yes, sister, yes, I got this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like who she is as just like a human being of what my point of view. She'll talk about who she is and where she's been and just kind of just things about her. She has a great man named Jeff in her life. And as you guys know, animals are a huge piece in my life. I don't think I talk about enough about animals on here, but we'll leave that for the pet whisperers of the world. But Kim has a dog named Nugget. Let's pause for that. It's so cute. And she felt the need, I want you to know this, she felt a need to share this with me, is that she wants a pet goat. Okay, sounds weird, nothing crazy, right? But Kim, why would you like a pet goat and let's go from there.
So I've been doing some research in the last little while. So honestly, it all started with like the dark hole that is YouTube, truthfully. And I stumbled upon a goat video, and they're baby goats that are jumping on little houses and they're doing their little prance around. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I want a goat. So I Googled it, and this is an actual thing. People have pet goats, pygmy goats, and they're little and they're cute and they're house trained. And more than anything, I want a goat so I can name it Totes. Right? Totes
Right?
Goats.
Yes, right, in your world. And thank God I heard it because it's going to be in more people's worlds now. That's all that matters. But so as you guys are probably already falling in love with her, I mean, if you haven't after Totes My Goats, you might as well stop right here. But if you've been listening to me, you know I'm pretty crazy. So that's actually pretty normal in this world over here. So as much as we love Totes My Goats, what does that make sense to what she does, and who she is? So Kim right there, I mean, it just the love that she brings to everything, I think it's just that piece. But really cool things that Kim does. She has a brand that she is launching this year, and it's called The Accidental Entrepreneur, which we'll talk a ton about when we get in there. And she also, you know, does consulting work as well. That's a big piece of what she does. She was in the restaurant industry, very similar to me, and was able to get out of, you know, that to be able to do consulting work for companies, for individuals. So we'll hear why she's so amazing at all that stuff. I think when we hear kind of, you know, what they do, we put people on these pedestals, but Kim's going to now bring it back down and how you can start to put this stuff really into your life. And, you know, you're not going to hear a lot of me talking after this, but I want to just tee it up for you guys, is that our thoughts are so powerful, but yet we focus so much on really the physical aspects of our life. So for example, the health and the fitness piece of it, super important. We talk about that on here and the vitalness of that, but how often are we really working out those thoughts? How are we reframing those thoughts? And or are we just staying in this place that this is just how it's always going to be? And, you know, Kim's going to talk about that because not only has she opened up my mind, you know, her and I do work together and I'm like jotting down notes left and right. And I'm like, that's amazing. And if you don't use it, I'm using it. And, you know, but that's the thing about us, is that this kind of sharing is needed. And it's not just this airy fairy stuff. It's tangible. You can take it into your life. You can have it marinate and then take action on it. So with Kim really kind of going into here, it's just like, she's going to talk about reframing our thoughts around the safety in work environments. So it's like how to own your power. And then also we're going to really finish it up with this is like difficult conversations, because that can happen with your work and that can also happen within your own four walls of your head and also within your household. So Kim, what is something that right off the bat that's come into mind that you really want to hit home with this?
Well, Kim, you said it so well when you said it, well, that we focus so much on the physical stuff, our health, our fitness, what our car looks like, what our house looks like, all of those pieces. And the first piece is it actually, people talk about, well, what is it that I want? And we think about all these exterior things that we want. And truthfully, the number one step, it's like an iceberg. The exterior stuff is on the tip of the iceberg. All the stuff, the huge part that's underneath the iceberg is all the internal stuff and the processing that we need to do on a personal level. All that fun personal work in order to have the physical stuff. So that's really, truly where it starts.
You know, and she hit that right there. And I love that you said that. You know, you couldn't see her face, but you could probably feel what she said. The fun quotes, the air quotes, put those air quotes up there. The fun personal work. And you know, and think about that as you're listening, you're jotting down notes, whatever that is. If you are driving, do not jot down notes. But it isn't that fun. But guess what? You're going to see how amazing it is on the other side, because it's not fun also to find yourself in the same situation where you feel you can't get out of.
That's so huge on so many different levels, because so I say fun and tongue in cheek a little bit. Some of it truly is fun. The dreaming of what does my ideal day look like? What do I want to experience on a personal level today, this year? What do I want to achieve? That stuff truly is, at least for me, I don't know about anybody else, but at least for me, that's
You're gonna get
fun.
That. Yeah. It is fun.
The part that's not, so there's personal work that's fun, and then there's personal work that is not fun. And that is more of like, I mean, Kim, you mentioned it. It's the it's being honest with oneself, because that is a huge, huge, huge part. And layers of honesty are another part. I can be honest with myself. I can be honest with myself, or I can be freaking honest with myself.
You hear the difference in that, guys?
Right? And so it's how prepared and how deep am I prepared to go? And then when you say hard conversations, it's in what ways am I sharing those levels of honesty with the people around me that are important? And that is the not fun part of the personal work.
let's talk about that. So it's like sharing the levels with other people. I think that's something that's very hard for a lot of us, including myself at many parts of my,
Yeah.
my journey. How would you say they can go about that?
Well, so the first part that I think about is a lot of us have a story about that I'm not good at having hard conversations.
Mm.
And that would be the first place to do a gut check, because if any of us are saying I'm not good at having these hard conversations, well, we're in essence setting ourselves up for failure right there.
Yeah.
Right? So let's give ourselves some grace, give ourselves a pat on the back, and just be present and say something like, you know what? This conversation is going to be really uncomfortable. And you know what? I can do it. And I'm going to be stronger and better at these conversations once we get through it.
Why do you feel so? It's just, that's massive. It's massive because it's like we give that analogy, that when a baby falls, it gets back up, and would we say no, 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 baby, don't do that? So why do we know better, quote unquote, like know better, but yet don't do it?
Because I mean, experience scars
Mm.
us, right?
Yeah.
We've had conversations that maybe we didn't have the tools that we need, or maybe the conversation went totally sideways and it damaged a relationship, or we lost people that are important to us. And so we have these experiences that literally scar us. And so we're so afraid and in fear because we care about the person that likely we're going to have a difficult conversation with. And the last thing that we want is to lose them. So, and I can share some tools in terms of how to kind of personally set ourselves up. So there's two parts to hard conversations, and this is something that I really want to hit home on, is there is the intention of the conversation, and then there is the impact.
Mm.
And so often we aren't clear on what our intention is to go into the conversation. And how we share that intention with the other person is so key. And like, this is the best line, I'll give it to you. And this is how I start off so many of my hard conversations. And it just sets a different tone. I'll say, my intention for this conversation is X. My intention of this conversation is to share how much I care about you. And there are some things that I need to see shifted, or there's some things that aren't working for me anymore.
Huge. Huge.
So by simply sharing our intention, we're actually shifting what the impact is going to be for the other person.
Mm. So how do we, so that, I mean, I'm just writing down copious amounts of notes. I love how I'm, over here just, helping you and interviewing you. I'm like, wait, what? And so when you shift that impact, so elaborate on that. Like, so you have that conversation, you express these things to them, and then what is that shifting of that impact look like? Give that, kind of a tangible there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can see what the impact of conversation is by tone, the other person's tone, by their body language. And we have to be very careful, and obviously by their words. We have to be very careful. So what happens so often for me and clients is we make up a story about what their impact is without asking them.
Ooh. Wow.
And by not asking and just responding or reacting, we could have another, what we call intention and impact miss, because we're responding to something that's made up in our brains that's not necessarily the experience of the other person.
Yes. And would you agree, because guys, she hit very literal on this: tone, body language, and in our words. So we live in this day and age that most of this is going on through email, text messages, and through online. So can you imagine having these conversations, these hard conversations through text with, I mean, how many countless conversations not only have you had, I know I have had in my past, and I know a lot of people that I talk to, and I'm like, wait, were you on the phone texting when that happened? Yeah, we were.
Well, and I love that you just named that, Kim, because so multiple studies, this is a tool that we teach. It's called 7-45-48. And the reason why it's called 7-45-48 is based on numerous studies, one particularly famous one out of MIT, a study of how communication is absorbed. 7% of what's absorbed is from our words. 45% is body language and 48% is tone. So
Whoa.
that means a full 93% of what people are hearing have nothing to do with our words. How screwed up is that?
I mean, it's screwed up, but yet that is so true. Because okay, let's take it in the text message world, or just even just the virtual world. How many times do you erase that text message, erase that thing, when really you could just pick up the dang phone, meet them for coffee, and you could really show them in the body tone, or your body and your tone. Boom, done. You could probably say 5 words and be done with it.
Well, so here's a story that actually happened to me last week. A girlfriend's dating a new guy. She was a little bit frustrated, and she got a text message from him. And I was like, okay, read me the text message. And she read me the text message. And I was like, are you paying attention to how you're reading this text? I'm interested in your tone, in how you're reading this text message. Because then I read the words, and I'm like, I'm not getting that at all. So where is that tone coming from? We make up a story. That's all it is. So
true. I say that all the time. I love that you said that, because I'm like, I did not get that at all from there. And so it's just, one, don't text and fight. Well, don't text and have difficult conversations. And, because I think what will happen is there's so much energy out here. And I really want to, hone in or ask you about this. Like, there's so much energy in a day, and a big thing that we struggle with is time. And so if you think about the energy that you're putting out to these difficult conversations, the pre, the during, the post, and the speculation of it all, can you imagine how much time you would get back? I helped a woman recently, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, she just had the conversation and she got all this weight off of her. Physically, emotionally, everything. And I'm like, and it's, and we are all, I guess the word's victims to this, but how can we now be, the victor to it?
Well, if we think about it like bandwidth, right? So internet bandwidth, difficult conversations are things that are really in our bodies in terms of what we're feeling or experiencing, really take up a huge amount of bandwidth. And then how much bandwidth is left for our own development of dreams, the things that we're passionate about, enjoying ourselves. It's fully consuming, right?
It is.
So there's a couple parts that I really want to mention about this too, is as we pursue our dreams, as we pursue the life that we want, as we pursue happiness, there are people that we're going to disappoint that are important to us all the time. And that's why truly this whole difficult conversations piece is so important, because we need to be able to have a conversation and be in our power and honor the other person because we care about them, and state what we need as well. Because if we don't, we drop down into a victim place and feel that someone else is controlling our time, our energy, our schedule, or whatever else, right? So it's really about being present. The second piece is I get asked all the time, Kim, when do I have this difficult conversation? Like when? I know I need to have one. When does it happen? The first indication is if I'm pinched by something. So what I mean by pinch is I have an interaction with someone and I just like, ooh, that doesn't sit very well. Something's going on there. And then I have a choice. I can either choose to engage or I can choose to let it go. And there's no right or wrong answer. However, if different interaction, same person, similar circumstance happens again and I'm pinched harder, then I know that that's something that I need to have a conversation about. Because if I choose not to, guess what's going to happen? The pinch is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden I'm not in my center and in my power anymore. I'm a victim to whatever the scenario is. And I react instead of choosing my action.
So guys, just keep that in tune, because this is something that I teach on a lot, and I work with women about trusting their gut. And, I get a lot of, and at first I'm like, oh, everyone just trusts their gut. But then I have to take quite a few steps back and be like, I didn't trust my gut for a while. So when Kim says pinching, think about that uncomfortable feeling that that something's not right. And it may be, well, this is how I should be treated because this is what happened in my life. Or this is how it should go down because I missed a deadline on this. Well, start journaling that out. Start writing that out to yourself, because when something's not right and it keeps on happening, coming up, shame on you now. Mm. And, and I say that with a lot of empathy and a lot of experience. Because it is, at the same time, it's just like, and Kim and I were talking about this before the call. It's like, it is, and it's one of those things where, yes, it doesn't make it easier because the difficult conversation's not being what we think it's going to be on the other end. But the when, which she says is just so, so vital and so amazing, is that pinch and pinch harder. And like, I pinch like a little crab.
Absolutely. People say, well, I don't know what's wrong, and so I don't know how to have that conversation. And that when you said shame on you, yes, 100%. Because if I don't know what's wrong, but I know that something's uncomfortable, it's up to me to figure it out so I can stay in my power and have a conversation from center.
So good. So good. And then, so after the when, how do you bring that home? It's up to you.
I mean, there's there's a couple different pieces. So with this person in this moment, when is the best time and how is the best way? Those are kind of.
Okay, perfect.
What I assess is with this person. So do I know that this person does better in the morning? Do they do better in the afternoon? Are they better over a beer? Are they, when? Or sorry, with this person and in this moment. So how can I show up in my most full power when's the best time for me and when is the best time for the person? And it's different. Sometimes we schedule, sometimes it's off the cuff. Just be connected to self. That's the headline.
And it is. I mean, it really is. And I think that's why when we started this out and talked about how, and you touched on this so beautifully, is that, knowing oneself. And that comes with a ton of trial and error, a lot of wine, guys. Like, that is never underestimated. And all seriousness, it comes with a lot of experience, and it comes with you being able to put yourself out there and understand that you may not get what you want, but guess what? You're going to one day, because you're going to come up with a different conversation, owning your power, feeling confident, and feeling you are actually creating the life that you wanted. And that, my friends, sounds very airy-fairy. Creating the life you want. But Kim's going to bring it home and really help us with the tangibles of that, the real life experiences of really the owning your power and what it looks like in the work environment, and how to reframe our thoughts of what is quote unquote safety. Because even though her and I are entrepreneurs, that does not exempt any of you on this call. Do not unplug right now. This is not a ploy to be like, let's all be entrepreneurs. But it is definitely a time for you to take a second and see what's really going on out there.
I love that. So first and foremost, I want to say I used to hate the word entrepreneur. I used to hate it. and I hated it. I'd see all this entrepreneurial stuff and I was like, that is not me. And lo and behold, my brand is called The Accidental Entrepreneur.
Oh, isn't that how it always happens? It has.
And I thought, like, entrepreneurs are people that are born that they love risk and they love starting companies and they love the ambiguity of it and they go big. And I was like, that is not me. However, I became an entrepreneur by accident. I connected to my passion, figured out my purpose. It took a long time.
You're still young. You're so young. It's never too late. That's my motto. It's never too late. And she's young.
Well, and it's like peeling the layers of an onion. That is the best way that I can say it, is I know myself to a certain level, and then I get to go deeper, and then I get to go deeper. There's never any destination and final pinpoint of like, that's my purpose, that's it. Because we're evolving creatures. That's so peace. So passion first, follow passion. Passion leads to purpose. Purpose leads to vision usually, and then showing up in our world and making our impact in our own unique way. For some people, that's starting a business. For others, it's being creative in other ways.
What would you think would hold someone back from wanting to even, and it's not even like, hey, go out there and go own your own business, become your own CEO, hashtag girl boss. It's a side hustle, something that, they've been like, I've been wanting to put up an Etsy shop, yep. I've been wanting to do this on the side, in addition to motherhood and, my full-time job. What is holding them back, you think?
Two pieces, I believe, is courage, being able to step outside the comfort zone, feeling vulnerable. So courage, and feeling worthy of doing that.
Mm. So when you say courage, like, where's these, like, what's vulnerable for them in this space? Like, what's not safe for them to do that?
There's potential ridicule from other people. Whenever we put our stake in the ground and say, this is who I am, that is an intensely vulnerable place. Because when we say this is who I am, there's other people that are likely going to say, I don't agree with who you are, or what are you doing? It's like the crab in the bucket syndrome, right? Crabs as soon as a crab tries to get out of a bucket, all the other crabs pull it down. And that's really what happens often, I think, with people that say, this is who I am. And I grew up really caring. I'm like trying to get over the addiction of caring what other people think. And it is such a huge piece. And that is truly, I think, why it took me so long to figure out where I wanted to go, is by caring what other people think. And when I said, this is who I am, if someone says, I don't agree with you, then that's like the self-confidence piece. It's like a chink in the armor. So that's, I think, the courage to say, like, I don't care what you think. This is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do.
And it's interesting. Like you said that when you're addicted to what people think, or you're addicted to caring, it's interesting because it's like a negative thing. And in this space, in this vulnerable space, so to speak. But what's great about it is that your addiction is one, it's a good one. But two, it will serve you in this industry too. So if you are a people pleaser out there, it will serve you. Because when Kim talks about like the passion and the purpose and just consistency in general, like there's no coincidence that I am a people pleaser carer and I show up consistently with this podcast when there was the ridicule, there was the vulnerability, there was the potential of not safety within the fact that I had a very secure job before. So all that kind of stuff, it will serve you in different ways. And so Kim referenced this, and I want to just kind of cliff note this, or, if you haven't read this book, the crab theory is that, you have a bucket of crabs, and, you see the crabs, trying to go to the top, but you'll always see one bring it down. No one's ever getting out, which in our lives is that you're at the top. You're putting your stake in the ground. You're going to be this person that's out there that's putting up an Etsy shop and everything's going to be amazing. Boom, crap's coming down. People are going to start bringing you down because they all want you to be the same. And that I learned that from the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And this is for anything. This is not just for business, guys. It's for, so it says the jumpstart your income, your life, your success. I got a better marriage after this, with a little bit of help of other people. But seriously, though, it did. It made me see my husband in a different light. And you see a lot of things in a different light. And it was my first professional and personal development that I picked up. And it's still a staple. It really is. So, go on, Kim, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Go on, Kim.
Yeah, no, so You shared this with me before, and I want to share this with the group too, because I think it puts in perspective of just thoughts in general. Share about that safety that safety net that we all have in the work environment. Similar to what your dad had as well. Share a little bit about that, because I think that will bring it so much kind of just all together of just what's going on in reality. Like, we have a reality hit here in the States, obviously, with, the catastrophes that are happening within, within all areas. And it's just, are we going to play small when, God forbid, something like that happens to our lives? Like, why shouldn't we completely play big? So I want you to share a piece of that.
Oh, I'd love to. Remember one specific conversation in high school, and I was talking to a friend at the time. They said, would you ever start your own business? And I said, hell no. I love a consistent paycheck. I never want to have to worry. Now, my dad worked for the government. He did for 35 years. And that was really the model that I said, nope, play it safe. Go in Canada, there are RSPs. And I know in the US it's 401k. You have consistent, you have safety for the rest of your life. Well, and then I witnessed a few years later, my dad got fired from his last day at government right before his retirement. They took away his pension. They took away all of his benefits. And I just, the frame and the model that I had of what is safety shattered to the core. Wow. Because that was the epitome of safety to me. And so so now in the Accidental Entrepreneur, I talk about the future of work is changing fully with social media, with the internet. Millennials, we want more than anything to create an impact in the world. More than anything, we want to contribute to a purpose, and we want to have the autonomy, and we want to make an impact. And so I really feel like there's this shift of, because in Canada, our Canadian pension plan is going to be gone by the time I get retired, and that's not nearly enough to live on anyways. And so all of us are asking this question like, well, what do I do? And so I safety is such a made up thing in our brain in terms of feeling safe. And for all of us, ask ourselves, what does safety mean to me?
Wow.
Because it doesn't mean the same thing for everybody. And then ask ourselves, well, what is safe? And how can I be safe? And I've learned through the process that truly it's more safe to create my own adventure and make my own income than rely on other people. It's because I trust myself.
Wow. Guys, that she brought it home, because it's just reality. It really is. And what I really love, what you hit on the end, is that asking yourself, what is safety? What does it mean to me? This is something that you can use within your life all the time. So for example, if you're comparing yourself to other people and they're successful, or they are skinnier, they are prettier, whatever you're saying, they have a more stable marriage than I do. Ask yourself what that actually means to you, because you may be looking at it through the lens of someone else, when frankly, it should be in the lens of only you. Because a big thing I talk about, and I want to always ingrain, is that no one else on this planet, in this world, I don't care if your spouse is with you all minutes of the day, they're still not with you when you're sleeping, in the sense of in your mind. You are with yourself 24/7, every single day of the week, until God rest your soul. Hopefully not anytime soon, because you're happy, you're healthy, and you are reaching higher limits than you can imagine. And these questions that Kim has shown, I want you to listen to this a million more times, because I'm going to listen to it, because she has just really reframed not only my mind, and I think that's something really important to point out, is that, I do this work to not only serve other people, but I also have people now on my podcast and just in my life, because I'm like, man, I need to hear this too. No one is exempt to this. Kim will definitely vouch for that. No one is exempt for this.
No, and so to bring it home to my reference of safety, I feel myself. So there is a saying that says fear exists on the border of the reality in which we've known. So as soon as we start to step outside of our comfort zone a little bit, that's when fear shows up. And I've learned to, and it's a process, and I continuously learn to really accept and see when the fear shows up and know that, okay, this is exciting because I'm moving past something that's familiar to me and that I've known. So fear exists on the border of the reality in which we've known.
That's it, guys. No more. I have nothing to give because she just brought it. I appreciate you, Kim.
Oh, gosh. Man. I appreciate you so much. It was such an amazing opportunity to come and share and meet everybody virtually or podcastly.
It's the new age. Guys, you will see in the show notes how to reach out to Kim, how to contact her, because these kind of people are what you need in your life. When I talk about how I have like an army of people that help me be me in my business and in my life, she's one of them. So I hope you guys have gotten just as much value as we both did, and we'll see you guys in the next one.